corroborates my instinctive flair for the staccato. I was relieved at not being buried in yet more Wigan. On planet Earth, my family tree is a rhombus of clogmakers and disinterested fish gutters from Lancashire who moved to London after the Second World War. Historically a dockers' district, by the time I arrived on the stage, Bermondsey was already nosediving towards economic obsolescence amid a utopian experiment of social realism. With the advance of globalization came the death of old industries, presaging an uncertain future where one's neighbours disappeared and where the streets in which one grew up became an increasingly volatile Hogarthian rust belt. The severity of this depression was such that a Stalinist energy measure was introduced whereby television broadcasting stopped abruptly at 9 o'clock in the evening to encourage the nation to go to bed. Mid-1970s London was really Moscow with John Lewis. I've always thought that energy was there to be wasted, a relentless flicker of light switches. To my parents' annoyance, I would pass from one room to another, illuminating the house in broad daylight, until one Thursday, and despite a clear warning, I plugged in a Hoover and was electrocuted. The shock threw me across a downstairs vestibule and into the bathroom. I never recovered. Electricity. I am at home, stationed by a tower of Marshall amplifiers. As trade swung away from Britain's Commonwealth and towards Europe, the ships that would glide up the Thames like regiments to London's Indian Quays dwindled to single spies before vanishing altogether. I remember these modern galleons sailing into Rotherhithe, carrying the cargo of rubber, bananas and timber. Consequently, as the cranes stood idle and the warehouses and wharves lay abandoned, the docks were transformed into a forbidden place of ghost shadows and folk memory. Immortalised in Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist, Rotherhithe docks offered an ideal location in which to be robbed, raped or murdered. Now, in middle age, and driven by the fear of being pauperised by my own longevity, one is tempted to jump into a taxi and head straight there. Too late, of course. It has re-evolved, and today the London docklands once again hum with life. Developers have created a new and sterile zone of glass compounds, air conditioning, and expansive coffee tables at which people discuss their investment portfolios in Montecatini. To revisit the Bermondsey of my youth is also to negotiate stark overhead lighting. To endure relative poverty and urine-soaked pedestrian underpasses is enough, without, additionally, being lit from above. A boy emerges, callow, uppish and oversensitive, who clung to dreams in place of experiences and whom cherished fantasy in place of reality. A dubious sense of humour that is not really humour, except perhaps in the sense of disease, and a devout antipathy towards both mackerel and my surroundings. Nature abhors a vacuum, and bedroom postering soon led to bedroom posturing. A practice deemed to be further proof of a migration towards the suburbs of human existence, I resisted all attempts to navigate me through the portal of a professional life. When asked by the school careers officer what my plans were, I answered, I would like to retire, and I meant it. I was 14 in 1975. I remember a sultry August afternoon, the toxic oil drums and the vast echo chamber of an empty warehouse at Greenland Dock. Carried by a zephyr from Millwall, I heard a crystal-clear female singing voice. I like to think it